Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again, and here we go with another week of decks. And I'm going back to the Tarkir Dragonstorm. I know I said last week I'd finished covering it, but a few people have talked to me in chats when I've been streaming, asked me why I haven't done this version of Kotis. So I'm making up for it today. So here's Kotis, Sibsig champion. Black, green and blue for a 3/3 zombie warrior legendary creature. And once during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard by paying its mana cost and exiling 3 other cards. Okay, but then when the creatures enter, if one or more of them entered from the graveyard or was cast from the graveyard, you get to put some +1/+1 counters on Kotis, so Kotis gets bigger. Now, the reason I hadn't covered it is I thought this was the weaker one of the precon decks commanders, because I just thought the dragon version of Teval was a lot better. So I was leaving Kotis, but a few people have asked me why I haven't covered it. So, okay, if there's anything I do, it's like I respond to what people ask me to do. So here we go. Kotis is here today. So it's basically, well, mill deck, really, isn't it? You want to mill your stuff away, cast it for your graveyard, and get some value. So here we go. Here's what today's deck looks like. So we're kicking it off with 3 Planeswalkers. We've got Grist the Hunger Tide because we just like Grist, basically. No, as long as it's an insect, but it's not on the battlefield, and then it can basically come into play, mill cards, create insects. That's what it does, helps fill your graveyard up. Similarly, Liliana's Death Majesty does the same thing. Get a zombie token, mill the top 2 cards of our library. We can then return creature cards from our graveyard to the battlefield if we need to. So if we've milled something we really do need, we can just play Liliana and bring it back and have a reanimation on the go already. And then we have Ashiok, Sculptor of Fears. Yeah. +2 draw card, and each player puts the top 2 cards of their graveyard into their library. That's fine. -5. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Yep. -11. Gain control of all creatures target opponent controls. Now, the -11 is probably not going to go off that often. I'm very aware of that. But the +2 and -5 are pretty good in my mind. Next from there, we've got Birds of Paradise, just for some ramp, and then we've got the other version of Grist. We've got the Voracious Lava here, so we can do this when this enters, or another creature enters from your graveyard under your control. You can pay green. If you do, you get to flip them into Grist the Plague Swarm. +1, get another insect token, mill 2 cards, and put a Death Touch counter on the token if a black card was milled this way. Can blow up an enchantment or an artifact, and -6 for each creature in your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. So that's pretty good if we can do it. Stitcher Supplies in to fill the graveyard. Blanchwood Prowler also comes in to help us fill the graveyard a little bit. It does also help us find some land, so that's good. I haven't actually put that much land search in here, because I figured with all the milling and all the ways we've got of getting things back from the graveyard, it's not as important today as it has been in the past. Bramble Familiar is in. Mill 7, return, put a creature, enchantment or land card from among the mill cards onto the battlefield for 7 mana, or we can just have it as a ramp and then just bounce it back to our hand when we need to do the 7 mana trick. The Kishala Skimmer comes in from the main set because you're going to have cards leaving your graveyard. You might as well draw a card off them. Millikin, mana ramp, mill. Satyr Wayfarer, go and find that land you need and mill. Shigeki Jukai Visionary is also in. 1/3 legendary snake, as you all know. You get to play it for 1 and a green, and then you can pay 1 and a green, tap it, and return it to its hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of our library. Put a land card from among them onto the battlefield, the rest into your graveyard, and then if you need to, you can do the channel ability and pay 2 green and 2x basically for each card you want to return from your graveyard that isn't legendary to your hand. Skull Prophet, mill and ramp. Undead Butler does the mill thing and then brings something back to our hand when it dies. Wailing Ghoul, more ramp, more milling, sorry. Burrowing Razormaw enters, when it dies, you mill 4 cards. But it is a 4/2 for 3 mana, so it does have a little bit of threat on the board to start with. Floral Invoker comes in as well, and whenever a land you control enters, you get to put +1/+1 on the Invoker, and then we can discard a creature and return a land from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped, which then means we've got a creature in the graveyard we can cast with Kotis. So yeah, I know it's in the same commander deck, I'm aware of that, so I had to sneak in here. Nyx Weaver, although it's in the commander deck, is a traditional way of milling your graveyard away and then returning things from our graveyard to our hand. Old Rustin, there you go. There we go. Enters the battlefield or the beginning of your upkeep, you mill a card. If a land is milled, you get a treasure. If a creature is milled, you get an insect. If anything else was milled, you get a blood token. Stinkweed Imp destroys combat. Yeah, basically has kind of death touch for all intents and purposes, but has dredge 5, so it helps fill our graveyard up. Tribute of Rot comes in from the clue set of all places. Whenever it attacks, you get to mill 2 cards, and if you mill creatures, you get sapling tokens for each one milled that way. Brawn is in because I might as well have all 3 of the incarnations are in the deck. So we've got Brawn here to give everything trample because we should have a forest. We have Filth as well to give everything swamp walk, and we should have a swamp. Sidisi, the Brood Tyrant, also makes an appearance to help us get those zombie creatures. And coming in from Fallout Land, the Wise Mothman is here because I'm in the right colours for it and I like the Wise Mothman. Shoot me. Winter, Cynical Opportunist is here because it does the milling and it's a death touch and it's a 2/5 and people don't just tend to take the 2 because they don't want to lose a big creature or anything to it. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile a number of cards from your graveyard with 4 from your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them. If you do, put a permanent card from among them onto the battlefield with the finality counter. Yeah, okay, another way of getting things in. The finality counter is a bit of a but it's there. The other incarnation, Wander's here, so we can get everything flying in the air. The World Shaper attacks, you mill, you get when it dies, you get all your lands back. Lord of Extinction is just fun. This is one of the reasons we're playing Wander and Brawn and Filth, so we can hopefully get through. Power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. Yeah. If you're playing against another mill deck, this gets big and out of hand very, very quickly. Moldrath Millipede is also in. Enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then put a +1/+1 counter on Moldrath Millipede for each creature in your graveyard. So this gets big very, very quickly with this deck. The Overlord of Balemark, yep, that's here again. Sorry, I know it's expensive. It can come out if you need it to. So Conrad the Grimm's a no-brainer, just to drain everybody. Then we've got the other incarnations. We've got Dread to help us deal with any creatures dealing us damage. We've got Guile to get through, and if a spell or ability you control would counter a spell, exile it instead. No, we're not really doing that bit, but this is just an unblockable thing. That's why I wanted to hit 6/6. Lumara makes an appearance as well to do the whole let's return all the land cards from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Sludge Titan gives us a few more ways of milling things out, and you may put a creature card from among or a land card from among them onto your hand. That's fine. Another one from the Clue set that people forget about Clue, I think. Vigor. Yeah, when we talk about Vigor, everyone knows what Vigor does. This is, yeah, I was going to say it's one card I'm surprised isn't on the Game Changer list yet, but it is 6 mana, it is quite big, and it's probably easily taken care of, so it probably doesn't meet the criteria. But every time I play it, it changes the game, so yay. Avenger of Zendikar had to have some big creatures in at the end of the day to hit all those lovely little plant tokens when it dies. And then the Colossal Grave Reaver. Why would you not want to play this lovely, lovely dragon from the Commander set for Tarkir? I just think it's great. So, you know, hey hum, let's do that. Sorceries, like I said, not much ramp. We've got Farseek, we've got Life from the Loan for the dredge ability and returning the land. We've got 3 visits, so a couple of spells, but nothing major. Damnation to control the board, Living Death to bring everything back if we need it to, and hopefully we'll be ahead when we bring it back. Summon Undead is also in, just to return target card from our graveyard. The Will of the Sultai comes in as well from the Commander set. Target player mills 3, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then if we've got our commander in play, put X +1/+1 counts on target creature or X number of lands you control. It gains trample till the end of turn. Yeah, okay then. Casualties of War for a bit of let's have some targeted removal if we need it. And then Breach the Multiverse because I just like milling 10 cards off everybody and seeing what I can nick from other players, to be perfectly honest. Instance, Smuggler's Surprise to get our creatures into our hand if we need to, or mill some cards. Cash Grab for more milling and returning things. Corpse Churn again, mill, return, you know the score. Grapple with the Past and Wasteful Harvest all do the things we want them to do in this deck. A little bit more ramp with the artifacts. We've got Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone. Got Lightning Greaves in here to basically protect Kotis, because once we have him in play, we do want to keep him there so we can cast the things from our graveyard. And then we have the Head Shredder, because I just like this card from Duskmourn, and I think it's great, and I don't think it sees enough play. Crew 1 for a 5/5. When it attacks, you mill 2, and whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from your library, you may put them onto the battlefield tapped. Okay then. Spot it. Right, enchantments. Awaken the Honoured Dead comes in from the main set for Tarkia Dragonstorm, so it gives a bit more targeted removal. Cemetery Tampering, so we can just mill away and then hopefully get 20 cards in our library and play whatever's underneath it for 3. Crawling Sensation. We get to mill 2 cards at the beginning of our upkeep each turn, and land cards turn into 1/1 insect creatures for us. That's fine. Teval's Judgment comes in from the commander deck that Kotis is in. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, choose one that's been drawn. Choose on this turn Zombie, Treasure, or Card Draw. Within Range, it comes in from the Mardu set, if my memory serves correctly, but whenever this enchantment enters, you get 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, and whenever you attack, each opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures attacking them, which is kind of painful. Finally, last enchantment, Deadbridge Charm, just so we can randomly return things from our graveyard. Creatures get on the battlefield, everything else goes in our hand, which I quite like the look of, really, to be honest. Beyond that, 35 lands in the deck, nothing particularly that you wouldn't have expected to see in the deck. I did go a little bit heavy on the temples, just so I could do the scry thing, that's fair. Underground Scrubs, yeah, Urgborg's in here, and yeah, I didn't go with the other one. The green one, you'll know the one I mean of, that's just completely gone from my hand. Yavimaya, there you go. So yeah, nothing really that unexpected, and that's it. That's my take on this version of Kotis, Sibsig champion. Yeah, I still think Teval's better. I will probably, that'll be the mountain I probably get shouted down from. But Kotis has its advantage, I'm sure, and sorry, I think you could probably play it when more comes into play effects, so I may come back to Kotis in the future, because I've done this fairly quickly to get this video done for people. But I quite like it. I did a quick run of it against myself, and yeah, it worked fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but probably some more comes into play abilities wouldn't be the worst plan in the world with this card. So some stage in the future, maybe a year from now, I'll come back and relook at Kotis and see what we can do with it. But for now, thanks for watching. Please, if you can, hit the subscription button down below. Help me out. Get me a little bit closer to that 1,000 target that I'm trying to get to, hopefully by the end of the year. If you want to see me play this deck out, you can come and follow me on stream. There's a link down below to Twitch. You can see me play these decks on usually Thursday evenings and Sunday afternoons. There's a few bonus streams going on this week due to, well, there is bonus streams this week, so keep your eyes out for them. And if you hit the follow button on Twitch, you can see me play some of these decks out. I will probably play Kotis at some stage on one of the streams this week. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll be back tomorrow where we go back to foundations. See you later, bye.